He starred in movies that defined a generation. He's a Goonie and never says die. Put your hands together for Feldman.
Is this thing on? Test. We are working.
Well, Corey, normally I kind of like to ease into this whole thing, but I think the crowd is ready to be able to kind of hear from you today. You guys ready to hear him, Corey?
Okay, well, it's good to have a captive audience. By the way, where were all of you at my show last week? I did a concert here last week. Did any of you know about it? No! Wait, can you get that on film? I want to see that. Seriously. Oh, wait, take two. Hey, wait, did any of you hear about my concert here last week? Right here in Salt Lake City. I played it, I was at Liquid Joe's. None of you knew about it, really? Wait, a block away from your house. Look at the whole audience said no. None of them. I'm videotaping this so we can tell my agent and the promoter that this whole city, nobody knew about it. Amazing. Well, I'm sorry you guys missed the concert, but I promise we'll do our best to come back.
Anyone see Corey in concert when he comes back?
You heard them, man. They said they'll come if we play again. There you go.
So, Corey, what are you doing now to catch everyone up to speed? We need a little refresher here.
Thanks. Yeah, well, I'm on tour. We're on tour. And we played Liquid Joe's last week right here in Salt Lake City. And that was the end of our tour because we've been touring for a month. Went all the way up to New York and back. And it went so well that we extended it with a second leg of the tour. So this next run, we just announced yesterday, we're going to be going up to Iowa and then cutting through the middle of the country and back up the Pacific Northwest. So we're not coming on this side, we're going the opposite way this time, doing like Seattle and Portland. We will be in the middle of the country. We've got some Halloween dates. If you're any Lost Boys fans in the audience, we're doing a big Lost Boys event for Halloween in Dallas, Texas. We're going to be showing the movie, and my band is going to play, and maybe we might even get Jameson Newlander to come out and do a little appearance. So he's the other Frog brother, by the way. So yeah, so you guys should all come to that one. And yeah, we're going to be touring for the next month and a half. My new album is out right now. It's called Love Left 2, Army with Love. My newest single, I have a video for it. It's called Without You. It's on my YouTube channel. The single before that is called Comeback King. It was very popular. Everybody seemed to know it on tour, so it's a popular song, I guess. But anyway, it's all part of my box set. I have a box set, and the box set is called Love Left 2.1. And by the way, it is available at my table, and I'm signing copies of it. So if you're a fan of the music, and even if you're not a fan of the music, because this thing is so cool, there's a documentary that we made, a brand new documentary, which has interviews with a lot of people that I worked with at the beginning of my music career, like Michael Damian, who did Rock On for Dream a Little Dream. So him and I wrote and recorded my first, release together, which was Something in Your Eyes for the Dream a Little Dream soundtrack. That song has been remixed and remastered and is available digitally for the first time. Also, Mickey Thomas from Starship, who did the song Dream a Little Dream for the Dream a Little Dream soundtrack. Him and I got together and did a 30-year anniversary tribute to those we lost remake of Dream a Little Dream. That's also in the box set, and they're both interviewed in the box set in the documentary. And also just so much cool stuff. We have like behind the scenes footage from the set of Dream a Little Dream. There's some behind the scenes footage featuring like Michael Jackson, Corey Haim, all these people that were in my life. It's like a video scrapbook from the past. So never before seen pictures, videos, music, stuff that's never been released, all together in this giant collection. It's got 4 CDs, 2 DVDs, never before seen concerts from like 1989 when I was first performing. My very first music video from 1987 when I was working on the Lost Boys. So really cool stuff, and it's even got a hologram, comes with a free pair of sunglasses, it's a big giant heart, you gotta love it. So come pick one up.
It's kind of fun to see how you made that shift, and that's the focus, the music. You know, and I had no idea the music went that far back into the filming time with you.
Well, that's just the thing, you know, a lot of people don't realize how long, you know, a lot of people, when I did, you know, the Corey's Angels thing, and we were on the Today Show, and we had that song, Go For It. It was like the big top 40 Billboard hit. And a lot of kids came up to me and said, wow, you know, this is really cool that you do music now, you know? What made you decide to start doing this? And I was like, no, I've been doing music the whole time. But a lot of people didn't realize that I put music in Dream a Little Dream, Dream a Little Dream 2, Rock and Roll High School Forever, even the last Lost Boys the Thirst featured my band Truth Movement. So yes, and I did a show called Splatter, which was the world's first streaming Netflix series called Splatter, and I did all the music for that. So I've been doing music for my films since what, 1988, I guess, was when I wrote the first song for Dream a Little Dream, and before that I've been working on, you know, some demos and stuff. So, but people also don't realize that I started my career by singing, because when I was a little kid, you know, I started at 3 years old, and at 3 years old you can't really read yet. So when they have you go on an audition, you can't like read your dialogue and memorize it, right? So how do you get a part? Well, my mom said the best way to get a part would be to show them that that I'm cute or whatever. So she would say, here, go learn a song and then sing to them. So that's how I got my jobs at 3 years old. I got my jobs by singing for my parts. So I've literally been singing professionally since I was 3 years old.
And when did you first move into movies, TV? First big break?
First big break was the Disney movie Fox and the Hound. Yeah, so I was 5 or 6, I guess, when I did that with Keith Coogan, who's also here at this convention somewhere. Keith Coogan's here. He played Todd to Mike Hopper. We were the Fox and the Hound, and we're still friends. Imagine that.
Well, it was a good pairing. I mean, how many people knew that in the audience already? Of course you did. Of course you did. How does that compare, like doing animation voiceover work compared to some of those big movies that you became known for later?
Well, there's no comparison because you're working in a studio by yourself. You know, people don't realize it's very lonely, you know, working in a voice studio because you're in a booth and you've got the director and he tells you what to do and that's it. You know, you have to pretend like you're interacting with other characters, but there's really nobody else there. So it's a bit crazy, you know, you're sitting there laughing and having a conversation, but there's nobody there. So yeah, so that's how it all started. And then my first on-screen film was a movie with Malcolm McDowell and Mary Steenburgen called Time After Time. Good job. See, we got a fan right there, front row. Time After Time, where I played just a little cameo. I was the little kid in the museum when H.G. Wells goes back in time. Or goes forward, as it were. So that was my first cameo in a movie. And then my first movie, check this out, it just surfaced. It's so cool on YouTube, I guess. But somebody sent me a link on Twitter, and it was the movie of the week called Willa. And that was my first real part. I haven't watched it, but I actually am waiting for a break so I can sit down for 2 hours with my family and watch this because I haven't seen it ever. But that was actually my first movie. It's called Willis, starring Deborah Rafkin, if you remember that name. She was popular in the 70s, not to age myself or anything. And the woman who played my grandmother, check this out, was Cloris Leachman. Yeah, can you believe that? Crazy, right? So that was my first real role, my first real movie. And then shortly after that, I did Still the Beaver, where I played the beaver's son. You know, like the real beaver, you know? Not the adult version, but the, you know, Leave It to Beaver, you know what I mean? Beaver and Wally and all that. Yeah, I played the beaver's son, so there you go. History in the making. Now I know what time it is, I know that we've got a line that's formed here. Should we get Smiley's questions? People trying to ask questions.
I know, let's get some questions.
We don't have a lot of time, guys. I'm sorry, I wish I could spend more time with you, but everybody wants an autograph, everybody wants a picture, and apparently there's a Goonies screening that I'm hosting tonight with a live orchestra. So I can't be late for that. So I'm going to try and squeeze in as much as I can. So let's get as many questions as we can.
You need to borrow mine?
Oh, come on, they don't have the mic on. Oh, it's on. It's got to speak up.
Good night, Plug Sucker.
That's it. And then you drop it. You're supposed to drop it after that.
So how do you feel being the one that spilled water on Mogwai? And being the one that kind of caused all of that?
Invigorating. Something I always wanted to do, you know. I thought about it as a little kid. I was like, man, one day I'm gonna grow up and spill water on a Mogwai. It wasn't like that. But it was nice to be a part of movie history. How about that?
Thank you. Go ahead with your question.
What was your favorite role to play?
You wouldn't know it because I do it in private. No, I'm sorry. That's a different role altogether.
That's a craft.
Different type of role playing. Yeah. No, it's true though. It's a movie from Spain, and it's called The Birthday, and it's my finest work, my proudest work, and I made it in 2005. And with this brilliant Spanish director named Eugenio Mera, who actually right after our movie made a movie called The Grand Piano, starring Elijah Wood and John Cusack. And great movie, great director. And unfortunately, the powers that be did not want people to know that I could deliver an Academy Award-worthy performance. So they swept it under the carpet. They never gave it a theatrical release or any type of release here. They made sure that American audiences would have to work very hard to try and see it. But it's a brilliant piece of work. It's a brilliant film. It's a dark comedy thriller, kind of in the vein of David Lynch. If it was like David Lynch and Steven Spielberg and Zemeckis, if all three of them had a baby, that would be this guy. Brilliant director, and he's now, actually, he went on to become the second unit director for Jurassic World, and I believe he's now working on another film. So anyway, hopefully one day him and I will work together again, but if you get a chance, it's called The Birthday. You can only find it on Amazon.ne or DE, which is Amazon in Germany. And you can find an English-speaking version of it available. It's worth the hunt. It's fun for videophiles. It's called The Birthday again, and it's a horror sci-fi film, dark comedy, and it is available again only in Spain or Germany off Amazon. Go find it, and you also have to have a code-free player so that you can transfer it from PAL to NTSC. Okay, I'm done. Long explanation.
Hi.
Hi.
So one of my favorite movies is The Birds. I watch it every year on my birthday, even though my
Don't
birthday
tell tell Tom Hanks that.
Really?
I don't think he likes it. I
I
know,
watch
isn't that sad?
yeah,
But he
it's,
doesn't like any of his comedies. He's,
I
a
watch it.
serious actor, no comedy.
I watch it every year on my birthday, and my birthday's not even my Halloween. I just love it. So
It is a funny movie,
I was-
isn't it? I like it too.
it's like one of my favorites. So I was wondering if you have like a favorite part from that movie or anything you wanted to share about it, like a favorite scene.
Rick Dukeman.
What?
Rick Dukeman. That's my favorite part of the movie. Everything he's in, he was brilliant. Brilliant actor, brilliant comedian. I just love watching him. He cracks me up.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I was wondering what your experiences was working on Stand By Me and how they made your ear look like that.
We sold that ear. Yeah, want to hear a crazy story?
Yes.
Okay, all right. This is a crazy story. I'm going to tell you guys this story. This is a true story. So, I had this ear that we held on to for 35 years. The actual prosthetic ear that I wore in Stand By Me was saved by River Phoenix's set sitter. His name was Sky Phoenix. That's what they called him in the day. Sky Phoenix. He was River's confidant, set sitter, best friend. They were always together. He stole it out of the makeup trailer one day after I took it off, and he held it and kept it for me all these years. And then he gave it to me 25 years later. And I held on to it for like a decade, and I decided that I was gonna make copies of it and then sell the copies as a gimmick on my website for like 12 bucks, and you could have Corey's burn ear. And it was a replica of the Teddy's burn ear from Stand By Me. And then we were going to auction off the real ear along with a launch of my NFT line, which all got kind of defunct because the company that we were working with didn't know what they were doing and they kind of messed it up. But that said, it went for way, way less than it should have. That thing probably would have sold for like tens of thousands of dollars because it's from a classic movie prop, right? But because there was sabotage and during the bidding, during the auction, it got frozen by some hackers and they made it so that people couldn't bid. So the price never went up, it just stayed low. And the ear ended up selling for like $3,700, which is still a lot of money, but for something like that, it's like nothing. It's like chump change. So, that said, all the money was supposed to go to charity, and this was going to be like a great way to raise money. I was donating it to a cancer relief charity and splitting it with Child USA, where I'm an ambassador. So, long story, but long story short, so I go to the Noah premiere because I was invited there by Jordan Peele. And Jordan tells me he's a huge fan of my work. And we trade numbers and we're texting each other. And he says to me, I really am a huge fan, you're like my muse. And I said, that's an honor, thank you very much, I appreciate it. He says, no, I'm serious, like we need to work together one day, all this stuff. And he goes, and if you don't believe me, if you think I'm lying, I have Teddy's ear on my desk. So apparently Jordan Peele is the one that got that amazing deal and bought it for $3,700. So thanks, Jordan.
Maybe Jordan hacked it.
Yeah. Made sure he was gonna get a good deal, right? I don't think so. I didn't say that.
So, Richard Donner has always been a director I've deeply respected. I love how he just puts so much wonder in his movies. And, fun fact, we share the same birthday. I was just wondering, what was it like working with Richard Donner on the Goonies?
Well, Richard and I stayed friends for his whole life, He was like, not just a friend, but like a father to me. He paid for my rehab. He was kind of the dad that I didn't have because I didn't have really a father. I had one technically, but he wasn't around. So Dick Donner stepped in, and he was the guy that I would call when I was scared, or when I was crying, or when I was afraid, or when I was upset, or when I needed help. Like you call a dad, I would call Dick, and he was always there for me. And such a tremendous man, such an amazing man. he also cast me in Lost Boys because he was the executive producer for Lost Boys. He also directed me in Maverick. He also put me in Tales from the Crypt, the TV show, as well as the Tales from the Crypt movie, which he also executive produced. And in the end, beyond all of that, you know, we stayed really, really close friends through all of it, right? And he also wrote the foreword in my book. So Richard Donner and I were very, very close, like a dad to me. I love the man, incredible man. I was blessed and honored to be able to work with him. And, you know, hopefully his memory will live on as one of the great cinematic film directors of our time.
Just to give you a heads up, I know our time is short. We got about 3 minutes-ish.
Okay, speed round.
Speed round. I wanted to see if we can get to
You guys
New Zealand.
3 words each, and I'll answer with 3 words each. Go.
Okay, is there a possibility of seeing the return of
That's like 10
Butler
already.
in a Verb sequel?
Sorry, what was that?
Is there a possibility of seeing the return of Ricky Butler in a Verb sequel?
Absolutely. Wait, no, I didn't say there's gonna be a Verb sequel. I'm saying if there was a Verb sequel, you'd probably see Ricky Butler, but I don't think there's a Verb sequel. Sorry. It's not my fault. I didn't make it. Jeez.
So now I'm gonna date myself. I had your and Corey Haim's pictures all over my bedroom walls.
I'm sorry.
I have to use mercilessly for it, but if you ever met my husband, you'd understand.
I'm sorry for your husband, especially.
I know a few years ago I lost my best friend, and that's a lot of what Corey Haim was to you. How did you move forward when you received the news of his death?
Well, it's never easy, you know. Unfortunately, that's part of life, you know. Part of life is we get very close to people, and then we have to accept the fact that we all have a limited time here on this planet. You know, we all feel invincible, especially when we're young, but we all feel invincible. We all think, oh, well, we hear these terrible stories and that happens to them, but that's not going to happen to me. But the truth of the matter is, you know, it's a numbers game, because we're all eligible. At some point, we're all going to go. So that really teaches you just to treasure each and every moment that you have with those you care about and those you love. And that's what I've learned from the loss of so many people that I cared about in my life. It's just, you know, when you love somebody, when you know that you love somebody, tell them, make sure they know that you love them, and hold on for dear life. Not in a sick way, like don't be possessive and stuff, or controlling and all that. I just mean love them in the most natural way possible, because you never know when it's the last day.
What's your favorite national park?
Where did I park my car last night? I don't know, Yosemite? Yosemite it is! Nice.
What about Zion, baby?
Zion's cool. I mean, look, I even like Park City. Be here all week. And I'll be here all weekend. Okay, go ahead.
Okay,
Oh, there you are! I found Waldo!
what was your favorite part of the movie Goonies that you were in?
My favorite part? The credits. I love the credits because it means it's over and I don't have to watch it again. No, yeah, I was in it. I saw it a few times. No, you know, to make it, the favorite part was the water slide. Because we got to go down those water slides and that was pretty cool. We only got to go down them once though, so I felt like I was gypped a little bit there, but you know, it's more than you got to go down. So I guess I got lucky. See, it's all perspective, right? It's all perspective. Does that, I hope that answers your question, Waldo. Thank you.
We're a little bit over time, but should we end with New Zealand? So this guy came from New Zealand to be here.
Kia ora, bro. How are you?
How are the arms? Are they tired?
Yeah, that's a big swim. But you got lots of donuts over here, so I managed to put it back on.
That's good. You gotta eat a lot after you spend that much.
My mates are just, we don't have access to this kind of stuff back home, so this is just mind-blowing, you know, this is, yeah, so thank you for being here, that's really
Hey,
cool.
you wanna make a lot of money? Start it at home. You can be the change. You can make it happen. Believe in the future.
Hopefully we get some good pictures to take back, but I know time's short, so it might be a hard question to answer, but what's it like being a really key part, say in the Goonies, of a film where you inspire an entire generation and the generations to come of fantasy and treasure and pirates and being, you know, you are my childhood. When I was, 6, 7 years old watching movies and barely understanding what's going on, you were on there, man.
Thank you. How much does it pay? No, listen, I feel very blessed to be a part of a film that, any film that anybody remembers. Because you gotta realize, there's 1 million movies made in Hollywood, and there's 100 movies made every week, in Hollywood. And so, if you get lucky enough to make a movie that anybody sees, you feel like you've accomplished something. And if you actually make a movie that people see more than once, then you're really up there. And if you make a movie that people remember past like the time they walk out of the theater and can go back to it a year later and say, oh, you remember that movie? Yeah, I remember, I was in that movie. That's a big deal. So to be part of something that is a classic, that people hold dear in their hearts and their minds and their memories, is a beautiful thing. And that's what art is all about. Is moving people one way or another through their emotions, giving them happiness, giving them a fantasy, giving them, a departure from reality. Because the world is in a rough place right now. We're going through dark times, and what we need more than anything is to be able to escape reality sometimes and have that fantasy whisk us away into an adventure. And thank God for movies that help us do that. So I'm blessed.